If you're watching this video, chances are you're either over 80 or care deeply about someone who is. And first off, I want to say something simple but true. Making it to 80 is no small thing. It's a milestone that deserves recognition, not just for the years, but for the strength it took to get here. The world has changed a lot since you were born, and you've lived through things most people only read about. So before we talk about anything else, take a moment to feel that you've already done something incredible. But let's be honest, getting older, especially past 80, comes with challenges that most folks don't see coming. Some are obvious, like aching joints or needing more rest, but others are more subtle, and they creep in over time until one day you realize you're not moving the way you used to, or your mind feels foggy, or you feel a little more alone than you expected. And those changes, those quiet shifts, they matter more than we think. Today we're going to talk about 4 silent threats that affect people after 80. Things that don't always show up in blood tests or scans, but slowly chip away at your strength, your clarity, and your joy. These are the real risks that often go unnoticed until it's too late. So if you're in your 80s or you love someone who is, this video might be one of the most important ones you'll watch, because understanding these 4 hidden dangers can give you the power to protect your health, your independence, and your dignity. So let's start with the first one, inflammation. Now I know it sounds like a word doctors throw around a lot, but after 80, inflammation isn't just about a swollen joint or a sore muscle. It's a slow, low-level fire burning inside the body, and it's linked to nearly every age-related illness you can name. Heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, arthritis, it's all tied back to inflammation. But here's the part that catches most people off guard. You don't always feel it. It doesn't always hurt. Sometimes it just shows up as fatigue or brain fog or trouble sleeping. For folks over 80, the immune system starts reacting to things it shouldn't, like healthy tissue. That's what chronic inflammation is, and it wears you down, little by little. Let me tell you about Joe. He's 85, always been active, always kept to himself. He figured his stiffness and slower steps were just normal aging, but his doctor noticed signs of systemic inflammation. Once Joe cut down on processed foods, added more leafy greens and oily fish, and started taking short daily walks, his energy came back. Not overnight, but gradually. His joints hurt less, and his mood improved. The body wants to heal. It just needs a little help. You see, chronic inflammation doesn't come with a loud alarm. It whispers. But over time, it damages the brain, the heart, and the body's ability to repair itself. The good news is, even after 80, lifestyle changes still work. What you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, all of it makes a difference. And if you've never thought much about inflammation before, now might be the perfect time to start. Reason number 2, muscle loss. This one surprises a lot of people. Most folks assume that getting weaker is just part of aging. And yes, to some extent, it is. But there's a name for the kind of muscle loss we see in older adults. It's called sarcopenia. And after 80, it can accelerate fast. You might notice it first when standing up from a chair feels harder, or when climbing stairs takes more effort than it used to. But here's what's scary. It's not just about strength, it's about safety. Muscle keeps you balanced, it protects your joints, it keeps your metabolism running. When you lose muscle, falls become more likely. Recovery from illness slows down. Everyday tasks like carrying groceries or bathing become harder, and it happens quietly. You don't wake up one day suddenly frail. It's subtle. It happens when you sit too long, when you stop stretching, when you don't lift anything heavier than a coffee mug. Let me tell you about Marie, 87. She used to volunteer at the library, walk to the market, garden on weekends. But after a minor fall, she got scared. She stopped walking as much, stayed indoors. Within a few months, she felt weaker, more tired, and even more unsteady. Her doctor introduced a simple home-based strength routine. Nothing fancy, just light resistance bands, body weight moves, and slow walks around her apartment. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't fast, but she stuck with it. And 6 months later, she said something powerful. "I feel like myself again." That's the thing. Muscle loss doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you need to remind your body what strength feels like. And the body remembers, even in your 80s. All right, let's talk about poor sleep. This one right here, it sneaks up on people. You might not think of sleep as a health crisis, but after age 80, getting enough quality rest becomes a lot harder than it used to be, and the consequences are bigger than most folks realize. It's not just about feeling tired the next day. Sleep plays a huge role in keeping your mind sharp, your mood stable, and your immune system strong. And when sleep starts breaking down, everything else starts unraveling too. Maybe you're waking up 2, 3, even 4 times a night. Maybe it's hard to fall asleep at all. Or maybe you wake up at 3 a.m. and just lay there, staring at the ceiling, hoping you can drift back off. That's not just frustrating, it's dangerous over time. Poor sleep increases the risk of memory loss, depression, even heart problems. And in your 80s, when your body's already working hard to stay balanced, sleep deprivation hits even harder. It becomes a hidden threat, a slow leak in your energy, your alertness, your will to engage with the world. Let me introduce you to Dolores, 86 years old, living alone after her husband passed. She always had trouble sleeping, but after turning 83, it got worse. She stopped getting her full hours, started falling asleep in her chair during the day, and she just felt cloudy, like her brain was wrapped in fog. Her doctor didn't push pills. Instead, they worked on routine. They cut back on caffeine after noon. They made sure her bedroom stayed cool and quiet. They got her walking every morning, just 20 minutes of sunlight to reset her internal clock. And they added a wind-down ritual, soft music, chamomile tea, no screens before bed. Within a few weeks, her sleep started improving. She wasn't perfect, but she woke up with more clarity, more energy, and more hope. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. And when you're over 80, every night your body needs time to heal, to flush toxins from your brain, to recharge the systems that keep you independent. Now here's something a lot of people don't talk about. Sleep changes with age. You don't sleep as deeply, you wake more often. But that doesn't mean you should settle for bad rest. It just means you have to be more intentional. Avoid naps that stretch too long during the day. Keep a regular bedtime, even on weekends. Stay active, because movement during the day leads to better sleep at night. And if you're feeling lonely or anxious or overwhelmed, that can mess with your sleep too. Everything's connected. One thing I tell people often is this: if your sleep is falling apart, don't just shrug it off. It's not just an inconvenience. It's a signal. Your body's trying to tell you something. And the good news is, it's never too late to listen. Even in your 80s, there's room to improve the quality of your rest. That means fewer restless nights, fewer groggy mornings, and more days that actually feel worth waking up for. And honestly, isn't that what we all want at any age? Let's move into the final reason, and it's the one people often carry the most quietly: loneliness and the loss of purpose. This one cuts deep. It's not something you can always measure with a test or see in a mirror. But if you've ever felt invisible, like the world's moving on without you, like your phone used to ring more than it does now, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. After 80, your circle tends to shrink. Friends pass away, family gets busy, you stop driving, you stop attending gatherings, and suddenly the days feel longer, quieter, emptier. That quiet can become deafening. And it doesn't just hurt emotionally, it hurts physically. Loneliness is linked to higher rates of heart disease, stroke, and dementia. It weakens the immune system, it raises stress hormones, and worst of all, it steals your sense of meaning. Let me tell you about Harold, 89 years old. He lost his wife 5 years ago and slowly stopped doing the things he used to love. Sunday walks, poker nights, helping out at the church. He figured, what was the point? No one really noticed if he showed up or not. But one day a neighbor invited him to help organize a local veterans event. Harold served in Korea. That invite changed everything. He found purpose again. He got involved in planning, made new friends, started mentoring younger vets. His health didn't magically reverse, but his spark came back. He smiled more, he slept better, he moved more. Because when you feel like you matter, when you feel useful, your body and mind respond. You see, loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected, like you're on the outside of life looking in, like no one would notice if you disappeared for a day or two, maybe even longer. And that feeling, especially after 80, can start to break a person from the inside out. Because when you feel like you're not needed anymore, when no one asks your opinion, when the phone barely rings and you go days without meaningful conversation, the world starts to feel like it's closing in. And for many seniors, that's the beginning of the real decline. It's not always a fall or a diagnosis. Sometimes it's the sheer weight of feeling forgotten. And that loss of purpose, that's what really wears people down. Because we're wired to contribute, to belong, to feel useful. And when that's gone, it's like the fuel runs out. You wake up wondering why you should even get dressed, or bother cooking a decent meal, or walk around the block. And over time, that lack of motivation becomes physical. The muscles get weaker, the mind gets duller, and the heart, both literally and emotionally, just starts giving up. But here's the truth, and I want you to really hear this. Just because you're in your 80s doesn't mean you stop mattering. You still have wisdom, life experience, in stories that no one else can tell. And there are people out there, neighbors, grandkids, community groups, even strangers online, who would be lucky to learn from you, to hear you, to sit with you. And sometimes all it takes is one small step, one call to an old friend, one visit to a senior center, one letter sent to a loved one, to start turning that feeling of isolation into connection again. I remember a woman named Ella. She was 91 when I met her, and for years she had felt like a ghost in her own life. She said everyone she used to know had either moved away or passed on. She didn't want to be a burden to her kids, so she stopped calling. She rarely left the house and just sort of floated through her days. But then one of her granddaughters started calling her once a week, not out of obligation, but curiosity. She'd ask Ella about what life was like back in the 1940s, what her wedding day felt like, what her proudest moment was, and you could see the change in Ella immediately. She began writing those memories down, eventually turning them into a little family history book, and something shifted in her. She smiled more, she moved better, she started taking pride in her meals again, and all of that came from one small thread of connection. Purpose doesn't have to be big, it just has to be real. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger, maybe it's writing a memoir, maybe it's taking care of a garden or volunteering an hour a week. Maybe it's calling someone who's lonelier than you are, because there's always someone who needs a voice like yours. And when you find that reason, that purpose, even a small one, it can light up the darkest years and remind you that you still belong here, that you're still needed, that you still count. So let's step back for a second and look at everything we've talked about. These 4 reasons why people often decline after 80 and how they sneak in silently, slowly, but powerfully. Inflammation that starts eating away at health from the inside. Muscle loss that quietly steals independence. Poor sleep that clouds the mind and weakens the body. And loneliness that drains the soul of meaning and hope. These aren't flashy problems. They're not dramatic like a heart attack or a sudden fall, but they're just as dangerous, if not more, because they chip away day after day, and most people don't even see it happening until they've already lost a step or two. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. You can fight back no matter how old you are. You're never powerless, and you don't have to make huge changes overnight. Even small, consistent steps can turn the tide. A short walk every morning, switching out one processed meal for something fresh, going to bed at the same time every night, calling someone just to say hello. These things matter, and over time, they create momentum, they bring energy back into the body, clarity back into the mind, and connection back into the heart. And the truth is, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Because after 80, the body may slow down, but the soul doesn't retire, the spirit doesn't get old, and there is still so much beauty left to live if you choose to stay in the game, if you choose to show up, not just for others, but for yourself. Now, maybe you're wondering where to even start. Maybe it all feels like too much, like the damage is already done, and you're thinking to yourself, what's the point? I'm too old, I've let myself go for too long. But let me stop you right there, because that's not true, not even close. I've seen people in their 90s turn their health around. I've seen people who were housebound start walking again. I've seen people who were deeply depressed come back to life just by finding a new reason to get up in the morning. So don't you dare count yourself out. If inflammation is wearing you down, maybe it's time to take a real honest look at what's going into your body. Maybe it's those sugary snacks late at night, or that processed lunch meat that's become a habit. Or maybe it's just that your body is begging you for more water, more greens, more real food. And if you don't know where to start, that's okay. Just make one switch, even one thing, like swapping out that morning muffin for a bowl of oatmeal with berries, or skipping the soda for a big glass of water. And over time, your joints may ache a little less. Your belly may feel a little calmer. Your mood may lift just a bit, and that's how you'll know it's working. And if you've lost muscle, if getting out of a chair feels harder than it used to, don't be ashamed of that. Just start moving again, even in small ways. Maybe it's 5 minutes of walking around your living room during commercials. Maybe it's standing up from a chair 5 times in a row. Maybe it's stretching your arms and legs every morning before you even get dressed, because movement builds strength, and strength builds confidence. And confidence changes everything. It helps you walk a little taller, reach for that upper shelf without fear, get back in the car and drive to your favorite park. It brings your life back within reach. And if sleep is your enemy, if you're tossing and turning or waking up feeling worse than when you went to bed, you're not alone. But there are ways to help your body rest better. Maybe it starts by cutting off caffeine a little earlier, or putting away the phone an hour before bedtime, or turning down the lights and listening to soft music before you crawl under the covers. And if your mind won't stop racing, maybe it helps to write your thoughts down in a notebook. Just pour it all out so you're not carrying it into your dreams, and over time, your body might start remembering how to rest, how to heal, how to feel safe in the dark again. And loneliness, well, that one takes courage because it means reaching out, even when you don't feel like it. It means picking up the phone and calling that friend you haven't talked to in years. It means saying yes to an invitation, even if you feel tired. It means going to a community event, even if you have to walk in alone. Because when you put yourself in places where people are, you give life the chance to surprise you. And sometimes that one conversation, that one laugh, that one shared memory can fill your heart in a way you didn't know you needed. You see, every stage of life has its challenges, but this one, this season after 80, it's still a gift. It's still yours, and it can still be full of purpose, of joy, of connection. But you have to fight for it, not with anger, but with intention, with love for yourself, with a deep understanding that you are still here for a reason, that your story is not over, and that there are still people who need to hear your voice, who need your wisdom, who need your presence. So whether you're dealing with inflammation or weak muscles or poor sleep or the aching silence of loneliness, just know this: you are not alone, you are not broken, and you are not done. You can rise again, slowly, steadily, day by day, and the more you care for yourself, the more you come alive. And when you come alive, the world around you changes too. So get up, move your body, feed it something good, call someone who makes you smile, rest like you mean it, and remember you're still needed here. You're still loved, and you're still capable of more than you know. And that's the truth. No one tells you enough. After 80, you don't fade away unless you let yourself. You've got more power than you think, and today is a perfect day to use it.